Hi guys. Hello. 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 Good morning, everyone. Welcome, guys. Okay. Hello, Mike. Hello. Okay, good. So, waiting for others. Send a request to be added. Mm, checker. I've done that.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Ada.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. And you?
I'm okay.
Okay, good. Good. So, hi guys. Thanks for joining. So we're going to start now, and firstly, let me introduce myself. My name is Redwan, and I'm a data analyst working with Ojira Soft and also a one-time beneficiary of Erasmus Mundus Scholarship, where I had the opportunity to study masters in mathematics in two different countries. So here I have Ada on the show, and she will be answering some questions about how to apply to tuition-free universities in Germany. So, Ada, let me start with you. So, can you please introduce yourself and share your expertise or experience related to studying in tuition-free universities in Germany?
Oh yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so my name is Ada, and I don't know what I would what I'll call myself now, maybe the CEO or whatever of
Okay,
Ada's Place. I'm a content creator, and
good.
my content is mostly centered around living in Germany, applying to Germany either for school or for work, and I also kind of share my life, like vlogs, experiences that I have here in Germany.
Okay,
Yeah, and then in my experience of also apply, I also studied here in Germany, and my experience of helping people or helping students apply to tuition-free schools in Germany. I've realized that, of course, although most public universities have tuition-free courses, not all of those courses are tuition-free. Hi, Mike. Nice of you
hi.
to join us. Yeah. So I was just explaining a little bit about applying to tuition-free schools or tuition-free universities here in Germany.
Okay.
So it's also important to also point out that the schools that are mostly tuition-free are the government schools, and it's also important that people that want to move to Germany or apply to Germany um using the tuition-free schools should start doing it right now, because from the latest news or the news that I saw recently, some of those public universities that used to be tuition free are beginning to accept or to request for tuition now. And I mean, the first school that started it is uh, TU Munich. Now we don't know whether other universities would jump on the same train with them. We are hoping that they don't, because that's one of the huge selling points of immigration to Germany in terms of studies. But yeah, if anyone has plans right now, I think they should already start moving on that and don't wait for so long anymore. So yeah.
Okay. So, if I may ask, like, what are the key benefits of studying in tuition-free universities in Germany and for international students?
Yeah, I mean, the most important or maybe the most glaring one is that you save a lot of money on tuition. Typically, when you're coming to Germany, they request for proof of funds in the term in the so what they actually ask for is a blocked account or a sponsorship letter.
Okay.
It's not like when you go to other countries like the UK where you get an account statement, right? So imagine if you're paying fees and also having this blocked account is a lot of funds, right? And so
Yeah.
if you're already going to a tuition-free school, it means that problem is kind of solved. And you still have quality education, because Germany is one of the countries that has the best education in the world, right? And then this the universities that offer this tuition-free studies, they are not what's the word? They don't segregate, or they don't say, oh, this is only for German citizens or this is just for EU citizens, right? Anyone that
Yeah.
gets admission into the school can benefit of this. So that's something that is, very important for people to know, because people begin to feel like, oh, maybe they're not German and they might not benefit of it. This is wrong. If you are successfully, get admitted in these schools, you would get you also get to partake of, not paying this fee. So that's good. And then again, when it comes to the job market, that is something too that is very important, because most times people go to school not just because of the flair of going to school. You also want to have a good job at the end of the day, especially if you're coming as an immigrant. You want a job that can sustain you, a job that you can be able to get a work permit on, right?
Yeah.
And having a solid school, in your resume gives you better prospects, basically in the job market. So that's something that's really good. Yeah.
Ridwan, if I could just add
Yeah.
to the points that Ada made.
Mm-hmm.
So, also, what is even interesting to note, that you mentioned TU Munich. So, TU Munich, for example, and then the Rhine-Westphalen University in Aachen, Heidelberg University, these are all world-class ranking universities, actually, such that when you study those universities and you tender your certificate anywhere, either for job, PhD, it's like really, really highly recognized. So we're not even talking about regular universities, we're also talking about world-class ranking universities that are offering their studies tuition free. And I think from my experience, what I also really, really appreciate about studying in Germany is the flexibility in studying, in the sense that, yeah, your master's is for 2 years or 3 years, your bachelor's is for 3 years or 4 years. You There's this flexibility in studying, in the sense that you don't have to complete your study program within that 2 years or 3 years, as the case may be. So there's this nice balance between you studying and also working, either to gain industrial experience or professional experience or even local experience, whatever you want. And being tuition free, the only thing you have to do is the semester contribution, which you pay. And so you can actually extend your study program. If you're supposed to take 7 courses, you take 4, 2, 3, and then you have time to do other things. So I think personally, I just like the fact that it's not just all about studying, it's a complete quality of life that you get as a student in Germany. I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just to add one more thing too. Also, because I studied here in Germany as well, I also realized that once you're in the whole class setting, it's not just that you're in the class. They also kind of prepare you for what would happen, outside of the school environment. So let's say, for instance, a lot of teamwork's going on, and that is the same way when you join a company, you'll be working in teams, right? So it's
Yeah.
important that when you successfully get into these schools, you take your studies very seriously. It's not just because you just want to have like a visa or whatever, right? You take it very seriously because whatever it is you're seeing in school is what you should also expect to see in the job market. Yeah.
Could you guys hear me
Okay.
clearly? So Gazier was saying that I should speak out, that he couldn't hear me. Increase your volume, guys. I hear you guys loud and clear. Do you guys hear me also?
Yeah, I
I'm also
can hear
wondering
you,
as
Mike.
well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe try to speak up a bit more.
So,
Can you hear
the
me?
next question is around. Yes, I can hear you, Adult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the next question is surrounding eligibility and admission. So, who is eligible to apply for tuition-free programs in Germany, and what are the typical admission requirements? Also, what advice do you have for prospective students in terms of preparing preparing a strong application for admission?
Okay, maybe I can start and then maybe Mike you can. Okay. So
Okay.
when it comes to eligibility, as I said before, anyone can apply to this public universities that offer tuition free courses, right? Something to be aware of is that you need to have the right application documents, right? And it's also very important that you have everything before you even start your application. That way it speeds things up, right? You don't have to wait until maybe you go to your university to get your transcript, and you know how unreliable some Nigerian universities can be with providing some of these documents that you need, right? So it's important that you have everything that is needed, right? And then for some of the public universities, one thing that I've realized with them is that different schools require different things, although there are still some general or so things like passport. Everybody will ask for your passport, right? Things like your university degree, everybody will ask for that. But then in some cases, some universities would ask for an interview, depending on the kind of course you're applying for. So there might be specifics depending on the university and depending on the course. So you also need to prepare for that, right? And that thing too is the language requirement, right? For most universities in Germany, you're supposed to get a language certificate either in German or in English, depending on the language of instruction of your course. It's important you know what your language of instruction is and what the pass mark would be. In some cases, for the English exams, they would ask for maybe 5.5, as a bench score, or maybe 6.5 as a bench score for IELTS or TOEFL, things like that. Or for German learners, they might ask for B1, B2, A1. It depends. The key thing here is know what is required for each school and go for it, right? Then
Yeah.
some schools too might accept a letter from your university if your degree was in English, right? Although for me, I usually advise students to still get your language certificate. The reason is because not a lot of schools will accept your letter of being taught in English, and you want to apply to as many schools as possible because again, you're applying to world class universities. Did not just open because of you. A lot of people from all over the world,
Or
a
maybe they
lot of
did.
people from all over the world are applying as well, and they cannot accept everyone. So they have different slots, you know, for certain schools, certain courses and stuff like that, and they'll pick the best of the best, you know. So you
Absolutely.
cannot just apply to you cannot just apply to one school and just think that oh yeah, it's going to happen for you like that. In some cases, it might, but the best thing is to apply to as many schools as you possibly can. Understand? Yeah. So I'll just allow Mike to
Yeah.
continue.
I think Ada, you already mentioned a lot of the point. What people have to understand is there are no standard requirements or documents, so to speak. Some are very specific, passports and your previous degree. So if you're going for bachelor's or your high school qualification, I think two things I'd like to mention here are, especially for people who are coming for bachelor's degree. So if you're coming from countries that have similar educational system like the UK, chances are that you cannot come directly from your home country for a bachelor's degree in Germany. E.g., if you're coming from Nigeria, from Kenya, from Ghana, from India, and many countries with similar educational system, you, if you're coming here for a bachelor's degree, you would have to undergo a preparatory study program before you qualify. And the reason is because, as you can imagine, in your respective home countries, your bachelor's degree is usually done in 4 years, whereas in Germany, bachelor's degree is done in 3 years. The difference here is you have this in Germany, in other countries with similar educational systems like Germany, so Cameroon or Tanzania, for example, they graduate or they finish their high school with an A-level result. So typically their bachelor's degree is done for 3 years. Now, if you're coming from India, Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, and similar countries, keep in mind that you need a university entrance qualification to study in Germany, which if you finish classically from your home country, you wouldn't have it. So you need this preparatory study program or foundation course. Um, Most of the time it's done completely in German, depending on what you want to study. So, and it's tuition free. But if you want to do it in English language, then you have to pay. So just keep this in mind, the university entrance qualification. For guys from Tanzania, Cameroon, and some other countries that you finish with A-level, you don't have these issues. You can go straight away. And then there's also another thing to mention, just to add to the point of applying to as many universities as possible. What to keep in mind there is German universities, they have two systems of admission, amongst other things. So there are admissions with numerous clauses and admissions without numerous clauses. What this simply means is, for those with numerous clauses, that means they have limited study spaces. They may have like 20 study places, 30 or 40, whatever the case might be. And once they reach this, if they have candidates that apply to like more than 20 or 30, as the case may be, then they start increasing the requirements. That's when other things begin to come into play, you know. So first they need 20 students, and then 100 students apply. So they will go beyond the basic requirement and then start looking at other requirements. So this is where you actually would stand out. And like Adam mentioned, if yet they would have ordinarily accepted a certificate or a letter from your uni that you studied in English language, if it gets to that stage where they are now increasing the requirements, people that have this English proficiency language test may stand out, you know. So it could be that they say, hey, we will accept this letter, but then at the end of the day, they would accept it. You know, they may tell you, they may not tell you, but just keep this in mind. What I usually recommend is that you look for universities that do not have these numerous clauses. It's not so easy to find out, but for sure, it is something that you have to think about or look into. So in these cases, once you meet the standard requirements, they have unlimited study places. So if you meet the minimum requirement, you will for sure get a study placement. So those are some of the things to just keep in mind.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Uh, this question I have for you is related to programs and courses. Yeah, what types of programs and courses are available to international students in German University, and are they offered in English language? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ada, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I was
Yeah.
thinking maybe you wanted to take it and then
Okay.
I can add something later
I,
on. Yeah.
I mean, the question is, what is not available, if you ask me, right? Because I don't know which course is not available. The only thing I can say there is for core programs or core study programs like medicine, biochemistry, pharmacy, these are mostly offered in German language. But for most other study programs, they are usually available both in English and in German. And then you have more study programs, of course, available in at the master's level, so in English language, because there you have like more international study programs in English language at the master's level. But the number of English study programs at the bachelor's level has also been increasing, and it really depends on the university. I can tell you easily more from like, say, faculties. So like engineering, you will find different courses in various aspects of engineering. Um, you also find in life sciences, business, management, finance. When it comes to the master's level, you can literally find in every field, um, in English language, except then medicine, biochemistry, pharmacy are mostly offered in German. There are some universities that may offer pharmacy in English language, but they pay tuition. I think a couple of schools also offer medicine in English language, but then they also pay tuition. I haven't seen any where you can study medicine in English language in Germany tuition free. You have to pay something. So I think they're like in Germany. Germany is where you find like the craziest course combination, like course combination that you won't find anywhere. You will find them in Germany. So the question really is to the student, what do you want to study? Let's find it for you, really.
Yeah, and also to add to that, I mean, as Mike said, there are a variety of courses, right? But what I usually also say to students is that if you're applying to move to this country, you need to look for a course that would help you get a job afterwards,
That's
right?
correct.
Don't just be a dreamer and, y- I mean, feel free to study whatever it is you want to study, but let's be a little bit realistic. I know that we are sometimes usually in our delusional eras, but it's good to look for a course that you can easily get a job in afterwards, right? And then some of those courses that actually not a lot of Germans are studying, right? You see a lot of Germans studying courses like maybe music or theater, or as an international student, I don't know if, except you have like a specific talent or a flair, or like this is what you want to do, right? And you might not be very fixed on staying back in Germany. But if you want to stay back in Germany, the advice is always to get something that afterwards can easily get a job in. Because I mean, they're trying to change or kind of make the immigration process easier now, but again, Germany is a very bureaucratic country. We don't know how long it's going to take. They keep saying, they keep having like different legislatures and meetings and stuff like that, but we really have not seen it being practicalized, right? But the point is, until when they make the, or like relax the immigration laws, for you to get a job or for you to get a work permit, you need to have a degree that is related to what you studied. So if you're going to study something like music, you better have a job as a musician. Or
You become a music producer.
or, or you, or you have some kind of degree or diploma or whatever, something, you just have a certificate to show that if you're getting a job outside of your university degree, you can actually do this job. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very relevant, a relevant point. That sadly, some of the guys they don't think about when they move to Germany. Um, there's- you just move to Germany and then you study something, and after the end of the study program, it's not so easy to find a job in that field, either because too many Germans applying for that job, or too many Europeans applying for those kind of jobs, or for whatever reason it's so competitive because it's a niche that it's not so open to, and there are not a lot of job prospects in that area. I personally would recommend going for international courses, international study program, which translates more to like jobs that would get you there in the international labor market. And why I'm saying international is because, as you know, Germany is the fourth economy in the world. I think they're still maintaining that position. Um, they they manufacture a lot, they export a lot. So export not just goods but also services. So as an international student, I always recommend going more in this direction. Study programs and career pathways that are going to put you in that international front. Because one thing that we bring as international talent is being able to, when we live here, that we're able to bridge between Germany and the international, or like the labor markets outside Germany, so to speak. Um, of course, if you study something that is in line with getting a job within Germany, so which would require speaking German and all. That's great. But of course, you would have like more advantages when you are there in the international space, so bridging between Germany and the other markets in the world, so to speak. So I'm not sure how to break this down, but just keep that in mind. Yeah.
Okay. The next question I have is related to cost of living and scholarships. Okay, while tuition is free in Germany, what can students expect in terms of the cost of living in Germany? And are there scholarships or financial aid options available?
Mhm. Maybe I can just give a little bit of my 2 cents here, and then Mike can continue. So when it comes
Okay.
to
Two
yeah, when it comes to
cents.
when it comes to scholarships, there are various scholarships in Germany. There are like DAD scholarships, Erasmus funds, different scholarships. So it's possible that students can get one, and there are also Nigerian students that have benefited from this. So it's not something that it's a dream. You get people actually, apply to the scholarships and they get it, so that's good. Now, when it comes to the standard of living or the cost of living, currently, inflation is happening, right? And it's actually
Yeah.
a bit high. Even some of us that are here, we are crying as well. So students should, like prospective students, should also have that in mind when you are coming in, right? And then there are some aspects of the standard of living that I just want to touch on a little bit. So when it comes to housing is something that is very important, right? And it's something that you, as a student, you need to have a comfortable place to stay. So yeah, it's so for public universities, in most cases, they have students Wohnheim, so student hostels, right? That they can assign to students. But this is not always available to everybody. Again, you need to apply on time, right, for you to have the student places. But if you're not able to get a student apartment, you can get a shared apartment. And what shared apartment is like, it's maybe you rent an apartment, or maybe 3 or 4 bedroom apartments. Other students like you can now share the space and split the cost. It's usually a cheaper option for students, right? But it also comes with its own ups and downs, and of course you have to expect certain things in those areas. Then when it comes to feeding, it depends on your taste. You get, if you're the kind of person that doesn't like cooking and you're always eating out, then you better come with a lot of money. But if you're open to, and not just like the cooking, if you're also the kind of person that you're fixed on African meals, you cannot try anything else that's not African, you better be rich, because African food here is quite expensive. It's not as cheap
Yeah.
as potatoes and everything Germans eat, right? But for me, what I also say is, when you're coming into a country like Germany, in fact, when you're living wherever it is you are to a new place, you should keep an open mind, right? It's part of experiencing the country. It's also experiencing their food and trying out new things. You understand? So you can also experiment with, their foods, and experiment by even infusing your own local your own local cooking style in
Okay. Start.
their raw material, and then you just the point is, try to make your feeding as low as possible. Then something else too is with the health insurance. I realized that during my own time as a student, a lot of people didn't have this information. Personally, I didn't go to a public university, I went to a private university. But I'm sure that some of the people that are listening to us right now might also apply to private universities, not just the public universities. But the public universities are the ones that give tuition free education, right? But what I want to say is, as regards the health insurance, for health insurance, there's a possibility that you can also pay cheaper health insurance. Health insurance is something that you must have if you're living in Germany. So if you're thinking of your finances, you need to be thinking of food. In fact, health insurance, food,
What?
the house, because you cannot live in Germany without your health insurance. It's
Yeah.
compulsory, right? And so you can also look for private health insurances. for students. But I don't think you can have a private health insurance if you're under a public university. It's possible for a private university, right? And it's cheaper. Like the difference is a lot. So if you have that option, just go for it instead of paying 100 and something euros as a student, where you might not even go to the hospital or go to a doctor that often, right? So yeah, this is what I'll say with the cost of living. And then there are also options for you to work, which is very good. In Germany, students are allowed to work up to 20 hours a week currently. I also hear that they want to increase the hours, right? And on an average, students are paid 13 euros per hour. Between 13 to 16 euros per hour. There's a possibility that you could even get more than that or less than that. But if you're getting less than that, then you might not be subject to taxes. So the point is, you can survive, right? It's important that you, at least once you're coming in, you have that first base of the finances, so that you can understand what's going on in your environment and then begin to look for a job, but you can survive. Yes.
Just before I comment on that, like add some points to that, Ridwan, I hope you will take the questions from the guys. I'm seeing many questions. Some
Sure,
Nigerian.
sure, sure. I'll take questions from them after asking all the questions here.
Okay.
I'm taking notes of them.
All right.
Okay.
Great. So guys, stay tuned. Ridwan is going to take all the questions. Some directed to Ada, Bibioko, and the Igbo girl and all the stuff. Okay, I just wanted to mention some things. I feel like I think some students are quite aware of these expenses, and like recently, a guy that we helped with the admission process and also guiding him also on the visa, blocked account, and all. I think currently the blocked account amount is around 900 and something euros per month, amounting to 11,000 euros in a year. So we helped him process the first deposit of 11,000 euros, and then he looked at it and was like, no, Mike, I think this money won't be enough for me. So he increased it from 11K to around 15K. So I think for someone like that, he already knows, okay, his spending habits, his living habits, and whatever. So he felt like, okay, he needed more money. This is a direction that you could also think, to know that, hey, the blocked account, you're not limited to a certain amount of money. There's just that minimum amount that you have to, you need to have in your bank account. So also, like the ranking that gave, it's also very important to keep in mind. There's the health insurance at the top. Public health insurance currently is around 120 euros for students. And then I think for private, maybe it goes as low as 30, 40 bucks. I don't know. So this again depends on where you're studying. And then accommodation, it really depends on where you live. Me, I'm someone who I like to cut my coat according to my size. I don't know how I was lucky, but when I applied to Germany back in 2014, I applied to 7 universities. 7. At the end of the day, I was offered admission in one of them in a small city in the northern part of Germany. You know, I didn't know anything about that city, but I landed there. Interestingly, I had like the best experience studying in that city. Um, from easily getting a student job to finding accommodation, really low cost of living, and then also being able to interact with the locals to just integrate and understand the lifestyle,
Okay.
culture, and everything. I think that gave me a really nice experience. So, with regards to cost of living, if you're someone who's on a tight budget, I would recommend channeling your whatever attention to small cities. Go to like really small cities. Don't go to the big cities. Again, small cities come with a lot of advantages. There are also the downsides, of course, with regards to opportunities and all. But personally, I feel like there are more pros than cons. Ranging from easy access to find accommodation. If you're someone who's interested in the language, the locals will most likely be speaking German, a few people speaking English. This could really push you in that direction. Um, but also the fact that the opportunities, you can easily find opportunities there. Why? Because most of these small locations, those are the locations where they have like companies or factories, and then there are like opportunities for students. But that being aside, housing is like really, really cheap. You can find a big space for like a really small amount. Even that 900 euros that you're supposed to, that you've budgeted for a month, you may not even spend up to that anymore. Um, so, and if you're going to a big city, that's also okay. But before you move, try to make connections with people. I think there are different international communities in different cities. Like Nigeria, for example, has like one of, in my opinion, the strongest international community in Germany, because I feel I see how people connect. You know, somebody is back home, has not even done anything, but he has accommodation and everything settled for him. You know, so take advantage of the strong international community. If you're from Cameroon, Ghana, India, Malaysia, wherever, connect with your people. You know, you can save yourself a lot of money, ranging from people picking you up from the airport, you settling down in some accommodation, to, you know, understanding, okay, how to find a job. So um, just take advantage of the network, think more in the direction of small cities, and also, yeah, keep your living expenses like really
As
on the low
low as
side.
possible.
If you
Yeah.
if you go more for like native foods, potato, paprika, and the rest, you won't spend a lot of money. But if you want to be eating fufu, egusi, ogbono, and the likes, I'm sorry, it will cost you a lot. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Uh, so I have this question, like it's related to students' life and culture. So what is the students' life like in Germany, and how can international students immerse themselves in the local culture? The second question is, are there any cultural or social tips you would like to share with aspiring students to enhance their experience?
Okay, so when it comes to the social life, basically as a student in Germany, I think it's important because a lot of times people ignore this,
Yeah,
but sometimes it gets very depressing. So this question is actually a very good question, right? Then to answer it, the first place is in school, right? That's where your colleagues, people that are in the same boat with you, it's important you make friends with them. Now, you might be the only black person in your class, but that's okay, right? Mix up, make friends with other people. There are probably other international students in the
students.
school or in the class with you. There are probably also going to be like other Germans. Mix up with them. If there are activities that are happening, sign up for those activities. Don't be a loner, because the funny thing is, you coming into Germany, you have the information that you had from Nigeria or from whatever country you're coming from, but you're trying to use that information to blend into the European lifestyle. What is happening in Africa and what's happening in Europe are completely different. And the only way you can know some of these things that would probably prepare you for your work life, is if you mix up with students, right? So there are a lot of tools that you need to have, or a lot of tools you need to know, especially like Excel. Excel is, I don't know, is so important here, right?
Yeah,
How will you even know that you don't know this thing? Is if you mix up with people. You get, there are people that have different levels of skills in some of these tools. If you mix up with them, you learn from them, you become friends with them, you go out together. That way you even get to meet other people outside of school, right? And that's this thing that is called networking. You understand? When I was a student, it was one of my friends in class. She's French, and even some of my other classmates, that helped me a lot, when I was looking for a job. At first, I felt like maybe I didn't really fit in, but I saw these people were doing things that, for me, it was like, how many heads does this person have? You get, so that it kind of motivated me to also start applying, and then I started seeing, prospects for job and stuff like that. And also, if you're a Christian, I also advise, you go to church. That's another place where people get to meet people,
networking.
right, outside of, yeah. And then if maybe you're the kind of person that wants to go to an African church, or a church where there are a lot of black people in, you can look for one closest to you. You can also join online. There are a lot of fellowships and stuff. And as Mike said, make use of the community, of what's the word, of Nigerians living in your city. They have WhatsApp group, they have Telegram groups. Find these resources and join them. I think I made a post once of communities of Nigerians living, in Germany, that you can join, either from their website or maybe from their WhatsApp channel. You can go through my page and look for some of these things and join them. It's really important that you get to mix up with people, because your life in your country and you coming here, it's completely different, and you don't know what to expect. So again, it helps you to kind of also blend better into the country, blend better into the system. There are a lot of things that we in Nigeria we don't practice, but it's compulsory here, or it's important for you to know here. And if you don't mix up with people, you will not know, because you're not on the news 247. And even if you're on the news, you don't listen to, you don't understand German most likely. So how do you get some of these things? So yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think for
Mike, do you have anything to say? Okay.
yeah, for sure. With regards to integration, personally for me, it's always about the long-term goal, and then integration comes at different levels. Integration comes also at the cultural level, but also at the level of the workforce. Easily getting a job and also understanding what are the core skills that people require. But it also helps you to understand the culture of the people with regards to just living in the country, such that if you're trying to enter a bus or a train and people behave in certain ways, that you don't take it personal, but you know that, okay, hey, these people are just assholes as they are assholes, not because of who you are, but they will do this regardless of who you are or who they're interacting with. I think the more you integrate with the people, you will understand and be able to like differentiate certain actions. And how can you integrate? As I already mentioned some of them. I think in my own case, I was very active in the student community, the student church community back then. I made a lot of friends, and most of the activities were always done in German. I think in my own case, I was just into all the German communities. I did not see anywhere that were speaking English, you know, and I believe that helped me a lot. I think I'm someone who is very open to the language. I was just mixing. When I got my first student job, I told them that was 6 months after I came to Germany. In that summer, I told them that, hey guys, I really want to learn German. Please only speak German to me. And then interestingly, some of the guys also wanted to improve their English language. They said, okay, hey Mike, we will do a tandem. We speak English to you, you speak German to us. But it was not easy. When I was taking phone calls, couldn't understand nothing. But somehow I continued. I think, that would help you at different level, understand how the people talk, their body language, and maybe also help you to start enjoying the food, so to speak. But beyond that, also like study groups also in the uni. I think it was here that I really experienced the whole study group stuff a lot. We always having like small study group to learn things. You wouldn't imagine how that really helped me in the next phase to easily get a job, because then I could easily put into practice the things that we learn in classrooms. And it was easy to get internship opportunities, because then you're not just talking theories, you're talking about application of the things that you've studied. And these are not things that you can just easily do by Googling or whatever. People talk about it. You listen, you join the study groups, they say they're planning this excursion, that visit, you go. They also say they are going for a beer. You go for a beer, you drink that beer, because when you're drinking that beer, story things are happening. Trust me, things are happening.
Yeah.
People are getting boyfriends, they're getting girlfriends, they're getting jobs, they're getting things are happening. So just really don't isolate yourself. Don't isolate yourself.
Yeah.
I feel bad when I see some people that have lived in Germany for so long, and they just, it's not bad per se just to stay within your community. So like if you're Indian, you're just within the Indian community. If you're Nigerian, you're within the Nigerian community. That's okay. But I feel like what you're going to get are mostly things that you're familiar with and maybe a little bit different. I recommend also integrating with the international community, with the locals. It's not the easiest integration, but find the best loopholes that work for you. I don't know, from church, from study group, from there's these activities that I I joined back then, Stammtisch. So Stammtisch, you have it in every city. You find it on Facebook. So it's like we're in a new city. It's also international community. People from other European communities, but also Germans as well. They just come to drink beer and talk trash. But in that trash, you will find relevant information. That's where you connect to people on LinkedIn, and then you see them on the other side. But if you contact them on LinkedIn, they may not answer you. But from that table that you're drinking beer and talking trash, they will respond to you when they see you in the next conference and all that. So um, you just have to pay attention to your communities. And of course, it does not mean that you should associate with all types of people. No, you have to shine your eyes and try as much as you can to connect with let me call them seniors, people that have been there before, that you see that, okay, hey, these guys are actually going in the right direction. Connect with them, and I think they can show you the right way to go.
Yeah. Something else to add, just something that just came to mind is that while you're connecting with seniors, I had this experience that when the first time I came, most of the people that I met then, they were very discouraging.
That's also true.
Yeah, the kind of information they gave me made me feel like, oh, maybe I made a mistake coming to Germany. So my point is, while you're talking to people, be true to yourself. You understand? So also know why you're here, and if things get difficult, just know that there are people that are like you that are thriving in this country. That you're here does not mean that you must work in McDonald's or you must, work a menial job or whatever. When I came, 6 months after I came, I started working in corporate, and I didn't have like previous corporate experience, so to speak. All right, and I've been working in corporate since then. So my point is that is very possible, but you have to be intentional about it. You cannot be applying to McDonald's and expect a corporate company to call you. Do you understand? You have to be reaching out to these people, and that's why, as Mike said, networking is important. Once you get to meet someone interested, reach out, like connect with them on LinkedIn, keep tabs with them, so that whenever you get to a point where you need help, they can easily help you. And once you're also doing this, be open to helping other people too, because it's a circle, right? You cannot just be the one on the receiving end all the time without helping someone else. Yeah.
Okay. So this question is related to visa and residence permits. So could you provide an overview of the visa and residence permit process for international students planning to study in Germany? And secondly, what documents and steps are required for a successful visa application?
Okay. From a visa work permit point of view, first off, it depends on the country you're applying from. You need to check the German embassy in your country, right? You need to check their requirements and get all the documents that they need from you. Something too that it's very prominent in most cases for students is that they ask for this blocked account, right? So you need to get a blocked account. It's either you get a blocked account or a sponsorship letter. The sponsorship letter can only be given to you by specific, as in, like, what's the word? People that are legally resident in Germany that earn up to the amount that can sponsor you, right? So don't be angry if maybe you reach out to someone for sponsorship letter and they genuinely cannot give you the letter. It doesn't mean they don't want to. It's just that maybe they don't meet the requirements, right? So that someone has lived in Germany for up to 10 years does not mean that they are automatically you have the requirements to give you this letter. My point is not everybody is like really fighting against you, because to get this letter it's to get letter is quite tough, and whoever gives you this letter puts themselves at risk. So it makes it makes you their problem. If the government is looking for you, they can't find you, they go after them. So sometimes people don't want to, and Germans, they don't joke. So sometimes people don't want to put themselves in that situation, right? That's why in most cases people just go for the sponsorship, and people just go for the blocked account. Now, once you have all your documents, I've also seen situations where the names on your documents is not the same as what's on your international passport. It's one of the reasons why some students get rejected, like their visa application gets rejected. So it's important that you have an affidavit. If possible, make sure that whatever information is on your international passport is the same thing on all your documents. Otherwise, the embassy will think it's not the same person that's applying. Do you get? So I think one good way of looking at the visa process is put yourself in the embassy's situation. If someone comes to your shop and they tell you, oh, my name is Ada, but the document they're showing you shows that their name is Cheka, you think the person is a fraud. Do you get? So I think it's one way to look at it. And then if someone says, oh, I'm coming to this country I want to study and I have the money for the studies, but they don't show you proof that they have the money for the studies, again, you would not accept them, right? So, but generally, German embassy and the German, it's not difficult. Once you have everything, they usually give you the visa, right? And yeah, if you need support, if you need help, you can always reach out to myself or also to Jabba Travels, Jabba.travel. Yeah, and we always support you. So yeah, that's what basically we are here for. That's what I'll say about the visa process. I don't know if Mike has something to say.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think basically every document which you use for the admission process to get your admission, you already, by default, in most cases, you would need those for the student visa application process already. So keep that in mind. Yeah, so you have that already. I think I always tell people, if you already get the admission, then you kind of already meet like 75% of the student visa requirements. Exactly. And then the other thing there is, I think two important things there is depending on your country. So number one, it could be that, yeah, your country may not be easily giving student visa appointment easily. I know this at least for Nigeria, India, and Cameroon. This I know firsthand, they're experiencing it. So some things that people have done is, even while they are applying to the uni, or even before they apply to the uni, they request a student visa appointment with the embassy just to secure an appointment. There are different methods of securing the appointment. I think it's always changing, so you have to find the correct method. But keep in mind that first and foremost, you have to secure the student visa appointment, because without that appointment, nothing will happen. Because in most cases, you have to, the actual application process is you going in and handing your document over. For some reason, in some other countries, it's not an issue. In Tanzania, Kenya, in Ghana, Togo, some of these other countries, I don't know why, but they don't have issues. They could request an appointment today, they get an appointment for next week, they go handing over their document, and it's done. In some countries, there would be an interview conducted by the visa officer with you, asking you questions as though you apply for a job. In other countries, no, it's just about you going, handling in your document, they check, and then they get in touch with you. So it really depends on where you're processing the visa from. But one point I wanted to mention here is, all the documents which you use to apply for a student visa, for your students, for the admission process, keep them, original copies. And then, like Adam mentioned, ensure that every document that you use, that the names are consistent. There are not names changing here and there. If there are some changes, get an affidavit. I did that for myself. In my case, it wasn't even my name, it was my birthday. One was saying this, another one was saying this. I asked my mom, which one is correct? My mom said, why are you asking me this? I've told you before, this is your correct birthday, but my documents were saying different stuff. So I didn't want to start explaining that to the visa officer. So I just got a court affidavit, and that settled it. And then securing an appointment. Some people, if you're like really, really in a rush, you want to go tomorrow, maybe you could also try applying from another country. But keep in mind that you would have to be living in that country for at least 6 months before you qualify to apply for a student visa from that country. So at the end of the day, it really comes down to who you are, what's your profile, where are you living, blah, 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 blah. But in general, the requirements are, one, what you use to apply for your admission process, and then the blocked account stuff, and then maybe some other specific documentations required by that country.
Yeah, something to that that you said, I just want to point out. You said that if you're applying from a different country, you need to be living in that country for up to 6 months. Not just living, you need to have a residence permit of up to 6 months, because you might be living there without residence permit and you go to the embassy, they'll not accept you.
They don't know you, of
They
course.
don't know who you are. Yes. So you need to have at least 6 months valid residence permit in that country.
Okay. So this question is related to career opportunities, and I would like to ask two questions on this. What are the career prospects for international students after graduating from German universities? And are there any job search or networking tips you would recommend for students looking to kickstart their careers in Germany?
Yeah, I can already start with this one. So, in Germany, after school, students are given 18 months to look for a job in their field, all right? And so you have time. Typically, in most cases, people are successful in finding jobs. All right. Something else I want to say is when you're applying for a job, don't just limit your job search to your city. Spread as much as possible, right? Because sometimes there might not be a job in your city, but there might be something in a different city, and you might not want to relocate, but relocating might not be that bad. You're still in Germany, right? Yes, that's one. Then secondly, some occasions, some schools conduct career, what's it called, like where companies invite universities to bring their students, like a career workshop, something like that. Yeah. If you're lucky enough to have a school that conducts this, please take advantage of that. Go to these companies, have conversations with the recruiters, have conversations with hiring managers, and know what is needed in for a certain role. Something too that I did when I was a student was that even before I graduated, I started looking at different career opportunities that I would like. Because again, even though you're looking for a job, you also want to look for something that you would enjoy doing, right? Because it's not easy every morning going to a job and then it even becomes a job that you hate, right? So look for skills that are in demand for the role you're applying for or the role you want to apply for. In some cases, they might not teach you these things in school. That's why you need to do like an additional, or make an additional effort to maybe get a certification in those courses or in the skill, or to just learn on your own. For example, if you want to become a developer, they probably will not teach you Python or SQL in school. They'll just tell you, oh, this is what's needed. It's now up to you to take the time to, do your own research, to do your own studies, to get up to the level that a company will want to employ you with, right? That's one. Something else too is that while you're in school, try to apply for working student opportunities. Don't be so quick to get a job and get like any job, right? It's easy to get any job, but that job might not be relevant to your skill. So try to get a working student job that is relevant to your skill. What this does for you is that it gives you experience. Whether you're a student or an intern or whatever, so long as you have corporate, you've spent some time in the corporate, you already have experience. And once you have experience, you make it easier for you to be employed after you're done with school, right? In some cases, the company might even keep you, they might retain you, right? And then you don't have the you wouldn't have the problem of looking for a job after school, right? So always take advantage of that. In some schools too, some schools have partnership with different recruitment platforms, just like maybe join.com, or there is one for student job teasers for students, right? Use those platforms. For me, I work as an HR manager in my current company, and in cases where I want to hire working students, we go to these platforms to look for working students, right? These platforms were created specifically for students. And so the reason is because we don't want to spend so much money going to a bigger platform to start CVs for students, right? We just go for one that are specific for students and it's cheaper for us. So make use of those places. Update your LinkedIn. Make sure that whatever skills, don't just put any random thing on LinkedIn. Look at what other people are doing, try to replicate it on your own, and always update as you go. Whatever skills or whatever certifications you have it, put it on LinkedIn, put it on your CV, whatever job platform that you have. On I think on Join, you can even create a profile there and upload your CV and everything that you need in there. The reason is because sometimes recruiters can reach out to you. A lot of people have gotten jobs where they didn't even apply. Someone just reached out to them, and be checking your messages. It's one thing. It's one thing for someone to reach out to you.
It's that simple as that. Check your inbox. Check your
Check.
emails.
It's one thing for someone to reach out to you. It's another thing for you to actually answer them. And recruiters will not wait for you for 2 weeks to come back to answer. Do you understand? So always check, but there's always opportunities out there. Don't have a closed mindset to it. Just keep an open mind. Use whatever is, the resources that are within you, and you would find something. Yeah. I leave Mike to continue.
Yeah. No, I mean, that made like very relevant points. Someone was telling me, I don't know where I saw that. They were like, the first step is for you to show up, show up for the job interview. You'd be surprised that scheduling job interviews with people and they don't even show up, you know. And I guess that would already start happening when you're not checking your messages and knowing, okay, what you've been informed. So I think, Ada, you already touched most of them, especially already starting while you're studying to go in that corporate direction, and keep in mind that it's usually not so easy finding a job in that direction, but if you're persistent and consistent, that you will get something. And once you get that job, which is in line with what you're studying, in line with the direction you're going, it makes it very easier for you to either be retained or to simply move to the next job. One thing that people have to understand is in Germany and many other parts of Europe, what really counts is experience, experience, experience. Like most companies, they're looking for who is going to take that first risk on you before they take you. So which means they want to see and know that you've worked in a corporate environment first. And then they're like, okay, hey, this one has been trained, and it's very easy for them to take you up. A couple of things I'd like to mention here is, in as much as your international experience here in Germany counts, your experience back home, wherever you're coming from, is also quite important. Again, it really helps you to be able to talk about things that you're genuinely interested in, in the sense that maybe you have experience in, it wouldn't make sense if you have experience back home in sales or business development, and then you move to Germany, and for whatever reason that you're thinking, you're applying more to roles that have to do with like research in the lab and stuff like that, which, yes, you know them theoretically because you studied, but as a person, you're not genuinely interested in working in the lab. You're someone who likes to communicate. I, for one, I kind of had this experience. Another thing I wanted to mention here is also updating your profile on LinkedIn, putting out the information, going in that direction of where you want to go, like with regards to your career, but also learning from the experience of other people. This really, really, really is important. You can know all the stuff, set up your LinkedIn profile and the rest, but how the job is going to hit you, the requirements, the interview and all, it might come in a dimension that you don't even expect. But even going beyond that, I think another thing is people's experience helping you to understand the scope of the job market, the scope in the sense that what does it actually entail to work in a particular position. It's not so clear most times from a job description or whatever they say. Where it becomes clearer is where people are actually telling you their real experience, and what we're doing right now, we are documenting experiences of people that are working in Germany, have worked in Germany, or working in other countries abroad, such that in as much as you understand this whole setting up of your profile, where to look for the jobs and all, that you can even take it to the next level and learn from the one-on-one experiences of people. So I've been doing this by having videos with different people, documenting their experiences, and also translating these videos into like blog articles. So the videos, you can find the videos on our YouTube channel, and then the blog articles, you can also find them on Settling. So there on Settling, what we do there is we are creating a platform that informs but also connects you. So you get the information, but you're also connected with the people who have that experience. And I think the value that you stand to gain there is just like Adam mentioned about the job teaser platform, which is specifically focused for student job. Settling is also just focused for the migration space, all the opportunities that you can get there. So moving from the cost of living, what to study, how much it costs, and also getting job. But then to the next level of reading about the experiences of people, human beings like yourself who moved abroad, have settled there, are living there. And this is not information you just find on Google, because anyone can put stuff on Google. But these are actually things documented from interacting with the people one-on-one. So think about that as well.
Okay, thank you, Mike. We would like to hear from our viewers. If you have any questions, please kindly write your question in the comment section, and we will do our best to answer them.
I think I'm seeing one here. He says, I think you
Okay.
guys should talk about the blocked account, how much is required, are there alternatives? Because most times getting admission isn't the problem, but other requirements.
Yeah, I think we already talked about the
Yeah,
blocked account thing. Yeah.
we talked about that already. So
Mhm.
there is the blocked account at the moment. It's about 900 and something euros, 11,000 euros per year. When I say per year, it does not mean every year you have to provide 11K. That is another story. But at least for the first year to have 11K, the alternatives would then be sponsorship letter, or you become an Erasmus scholar like Ridwan. I was hoping Ridwan would even talk a bit about the Erasmus scholarship, but that is also something as well. The guys with the big brains, bagging 2, 3 master's degree and all that. um,
So
I'm just trying to.
I think okay. I think there's
Yeah,
a
go on,
question
Ridwan.
here. Are there programs that one can apply without union assist? Union assist, yeah.
Yeah, someone asked that I saw it. Yes, you can apply to some. Not all schools use Uni Assist. Some schools don't use Uni Assist. However, the thing with Uni Assist is that it gives once you apply to, yeah, once you send the application to Uni Assist, it gives you they what's the word? They look at your like your what's it called? Transcript, and they grade it with the German grading system, and then they give this information back to you. So if if you already have an account with UniAssist, your documents already with the German grading system, you can now use this information to apply to other universities that don't have it, right? But if you go directly to the university, in some cases they will ask you to bring your documents and a proof that it is with the German grading system.
Yeah.
So you still have to go back to UniAssist. That's the thing. But in some cases, yeah, it really depends. I've seen schools that don't ask for, they can apply directly to them. You can send them, your documents via post, and some universities that insist that you go through UniAssist. I think it just depends. But yes, it's possible.
Yeah. Many
Okay.
universities, you can apply to them directly, everything online. When you finish, you send the hard copies. Some you don't even have to send hard copies, everything is completely online. Other universities, they completely outsource the screening process to UniAssist, and then they will do the final selection, who gets admission and who won't get admission. So,
Okay. There's another question here. Is class of degree highly priority? Class of degree highly priority.
By class of degree, what exactly does this person mean?
I guess this person is maybe BSc, maybe first class, second class
Oh,
upper,
okay,
first
okay,
class,
okay. Oh, yes.
etc.
It has an effect. Again, as we said, the better your result, the faster your chances of getting admission. However, there are still some schools that even if you have like a 2-2, you can still apply to, and you might be lucky. I think if you have from 2 and below, just apply to as many schools as possible. Like apply to all the schools in Germany if you can. but it's a possibility that you get admission.
I think I
Um,
just, yeah, go ahead
no,
and finish.
no, continue.
I just wanted to say that there, I hope it's correct for me to say there are thousands of universities in Germany, but there are many, 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 many
Okay.
universities in Germany, many universities, like even in the remotest area that you cannot imagine. And I also want people to understand that some of these universities, they actually need students to keep the university running. They get funding from the government, and if there are nobody to study there, the government will not keep funding them. So they actually need you as an international student to study there, So if your grades are low, if you don't have like really high grades, then consider, I don't want to call them low ranking universities per se, but these universities that not many people are applied to. Again, it would not really be easy for you to identify these universities. And this is where we come in, to help you based on your grades to say, okay, hey, these are the kind of universities you should apply to, that you have like a higher chance of getting your admission. But just
Sure.
keep at the back of your mind that there are many, many universities in Germany, and some actually don't care about your grade, because at the end of the day, they combine different things. Your grade is low, do you have some job experience? Do you have some work experience? Your grade is low, are you able to write a good motivational letter
Yeah,
that proves to them that
that's
this
true.
one has brain and they can actually study? Or okay, maybe back then this was what happened that they got this grade, but this is a very convincing motivational letter that the university is willing to. At the end of the day, they are the ones responsible to take that decision, but you have to prove it to them. So grade is low, don't worry, you will get a placement. I can already tell you this. Why? Because there are many universities looking for international students to keep the uni running. And I guess for Germany, they don't focus so much about the grading as much as it's important. They just genuinely want people to study and then hopefully add to the resources of the labor market at the end of the day. So they are looking, it's a combination of grade, motivation, and experience, amongst other things. Yeah.
Okay, I need to leave. I was thinking because I have an appointment soon, so maybe we can just do like a wrap. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So let me ask you this question. If you could offer one piece of advice to students aspiring to study in tuition-free universities in Germany, what would it be?
One piece of advice.
Yeah, one piece of advice.
I think what I would say will be to be intentional about it. Now, using intentionality, it's a very big word, but the reason I'm using it is because if you want to come to what's the word? If you want to come to a tuition-free university, if you want to come to Germany to study generally, and you want a tuition-free school, you need to know what you're doing, right? It transcends to when you apply to the school, you go for a visa interview, this and that. You cannot just tell them, oh yeah, I just want to travel, I want to Japan, that's why I'm leaving, right? Nobody would give you that.
Yeah.
So my point is, be intentional about it. Most of us, we want to leave, but you need to have a plan. Otherwise, it's better you stay back in Nigeria or stay back wherever you are in, right? And I don't mean this in a bad way. My point is, if you if you travel to any country abroad without having a concrete plan, you don't need to have the full picture, but at least have something to work with. Like, after this point, I'm going to do this next thing, right? And it should be something that is, most times it's usually not within our control, but it's something that we can at least put to work, right? It helps. And that's why if you're in school, you also need to start looking out for, okay, what job am I applying for? What are the skills needed? You have to be intentional about it. Otherwise, it would just be difficult for you. And you also have to be intentional about meeting people, intentional about going out, having a social life, intentional about networking. All these things are, infused into coming abroad. Going to school is one thing. Staying here is another thing. Surviving and kind of thriving here is another thing, and it comes with a lot of ups and downs. We here, we see, we have our own challenges, we have different things that we are going through, but the most important thing is that somehow God is helping us, and the same God that's helping us is going to help you too. So don't think it's something that's impossible to do. You guys will just be intentional about it. That's all.
Okay. Yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us, Mike.
This was
Thank
actually
you.
very impressive. Thank you so much for inviting me, for having me here.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
So,
All right.
Thank you.
So bye guys. If you need help, you can always reach out to me. Come to my DMs, Ada's place, or send me an email. There's the link in my bio. And yeah, I'm collaborating with Travels to help students get admission. So it doesn't matter your situation. If you need admission, just reach out and we can support you. Okay.
okay, good.
All right.
All
Bye
right.
and have a nice day. I
Yeah.
just need to go
Yeah.
now.
Bye for now, others. Yeah. Bye.
Welcome.
Okay, really good session, Ridwan. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so much, Mike. So
thanks.
guys, thanks for joining. You can also follow us on all our Instagram, all our social media handles. Japa.travel on Instagram. You can also follow us LinkedIn and Facebook as well.
Yeah.
See you guys in our next live session. Ciao, ciao.
Guys. Yeah, I just want one thing, guys. I think
Okay.
for those of you that we didn't answer your questions, we will just reply to the comment. We see all of them here. I will reply to all of them, so you get the answers, and you can just keep the communication going on in the chat.
Okay. All right. Good one. Bye for now.
Okay.
Ciao.
Bye, guys.